Welcome to this video on Agile Development. As we continue our conversation about software development life cycles, we definitely need to focus on Agile Development because it is one of the most popular development methodologies that is used today. Now, Agile Development is really just a flexible and adaptive approach to software development. It's really a mindset more than anything else. It's fluid. It's collaborative rather than being strict and confined in its approach, and it's all about finding solution to problem rather than sticking to doctrine or process for the sake of just executing that process. So agile in reality means agility, your ability to move fluidly and collaboratively through the entire process. And the agile core values are pretty straightforward. First of all, we focus on individual and interaction over the processes and tools that are used. So it doesn't really matter what model we are using. It doesn't matter about what processes we have or what tools we have. We are really worried about the developer, the customer, the stakeholders, and the interaction that we have as part of the process. That's going to make an overall better software product. So we also want working software over comprehensive documentation. So we don't want to go through a model, document everything, and then only to realize this product is not going to work. We want to make the product work first, then document everything. After we know the software is working and it's been accepted by the customer or the stakeholder, then we also have customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Oftentimes in software development, we are really worried about our contract. We are worried about getting paid versus working directly with the customer to make sure they are getting what they are paying for to get a better product and get a better services from us in terms of nickel and dimming, as we call it, where we are trying to squeeze every ounce of money out of this particular customer. That makes for a bad experience overall, both for the developers who might see something that can be done but we are not getting paid for it. So we can't do anything about it. Rather, we want to collaborate with the customer and make this product as good as it possibly can be. And also, this is where Agile gets its name, which is responding to change over following a plan. Now, this doesn't mean that it's free for all, where we just do whatever we want. We want to respond to customer needs, to customer changes versus following a doctrine. But we do need to have a plan in how that gets built into the process. And we will talk about that now. Along with the core values, there are 12 principles in what called Agile Manifesto. The core values you definitely need to be familiar with for the exam. The manifesto, not so much. So we are going to walk through this very quickly. So we will do the short version of the manifesto. Principle number 1 is customer satisfaction. That is our highest priority, to satisfy the customer. Principle number 2 is to welcome requirement changes, even late in the development phase. This is so we can make sure that customer is satisfied. So it complements number 1. Number 3 is going to be delivered frequently. So going back to the incremental build model, this is what we are focused on. Delivering frequent updates of working software to the customer so they can see the growth. And we can also address any changes in smaller chunks as well. Then number 4 is going to be business and developer teaming. This makes sure that the developers are teamed up with the proper business people so that the process is that much more effective. Principle number 5 is to build a project around the people. We want that right people working in the right projects. We don't want the wrong skill set working on the wrong task. We want to put people with strengths in the area where they will shine when we are developing this product. And we also want them involved in a project that helps them stay motivated and keep them excited about the work. Principle 6 is face-to-face conversation versus text message, instant message, emails, and so on. We want to meet people face-to-face. That help with better communication overall. Number 7 is working software that define progress. So working software is the primary measure of progress for Agile. So the better the software is, the better the progress is through the process. Principle 8 is to promote sustainable development. This means that the process should promote development that can be sustained over time, meaning we are not doing too much work upfront. We are not doing this big crunch where we are working 80 hours. We want to make sure that we have a constant and consistent pace that we can maintain indefinitely until the product is completed. Number 9 is technology and design enhance agility. What this means is that we pay attention to technical excellence and design good and agile software product. Number 10, simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of work but keeping things simple. Then we have principle 11, which is self-organized team. So this means the best architecture, the best requirement, and the best design is going to emerge from teams that knows how to do this work. So when you assign the right people, they will know the right things to do, and we give them the autonomy to go and do that. And principle 12 is to meet regularly or at regular intervals, where the team reflects on how they are doing, how they can be more effective, and tune the adjust and schedule to meet the current behavior pattern that are happening in development. Now, speaking of agile team, this is example of Scrum methodology, and this is one of the most popular methodology that is used for agile. Within Scrum, there are 3 specific roles within team. So you can see that we have the Scrum team here, and within the Scrum team, you have 3 roles. You have the product owner. Now, the product owner will establish the goal, the objectives, and the scope of the overall project. Then you have the Scrum master. This Scrum master is basically your project manager. Their role is to knock down any roadblocks that is going to prevent the development team from accomplishing their work. The Scrum Master manage the overall agile process, remove impediments or roadblocks, and enable the development team to get things done. The development team is that self-managed or self-organized team, and they will create all of the work. And all of the work is created based on what called definition of done or DOD. So they will have the done increments, what needs to be done in terms of scope within what we call a sprint, which is a period of time. So within this team, we have these 3 specific roles. Now in the development team, you can have security, you can have developers, you can have analysts. It really doesn't matter. Everyone else is a part of the development team. It doesn't mean you are actually developing. It just means you are completing the development process. Whereas the Scrum Master is the project manager and the product owner is basically the stakeholder of this project. And the sprint is pretty straightforward. Let's compare the sprint to the SDLC step. First of all, we need to initiate, or we need to have the concept. In that regard, as part of the sprint, that what we call sprint planning, where we are going to plan what needs to be initialized and what concept needs to be developed as part of this chunk of time. Now, this chunk of time could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on how your organization implements the Scrum or Agile process. And this is also what we call our backlog. This is where we would put all our tasking, all of our tickets, whatever you call them, and then we would initiate sprint planning, where we plan out what can we actually tackle in this amount of time. What can we complete? Because definition of done is what's most important. We want to show progress. We want to create working software, so we can do in a short period of time. So what we can do in a short period of time to create some working software or working functionality. Then once we plan that out, we put this into our sprint, and that drop off into our Kanban board or some kind of board where we are managing everything. then we moved into development or acquisition, and then production, implementation and assessment, and that's going to be done by your Scrum team. So again, we have our development team in red here, we have our Scrum master in blue, and then our product owner in green, or whichever color you want to call this. But again, it's a collaborative team. We are all working together to complete this project in that amount of time. So whatever amount of time we have allocated, this is what we want to work towards. And again, what was one of our main principle for Agile within Manifesto? To meet regularly. So we have daily scrums. What another principle? To meet face to face. So we have these daily scrums in a conference room where everyone meets together. We meet for everyone between 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. We talk about what we completed yesterday, what's going to be completed today, and any roadblocks, because the Scrum Master needs to help knock down those roadblocks. Any roadblocks, challenges, impediments that we have that needs to be knocked down, we report those in the Scrum meeting, because then the Scrum Master is there present and they can say, oh, I can help you with that. What do you need? Who do I need to go and talk to? Or who do I need to hire like this? Or who do I need to hire to get you what you need? Because the goal is to produce that working product on the back end. That goes into operational and maintenance. And then remember that we have the support as part of the SDLC as well. So once we deploy this working product, now we have to maintain it and we have to support it until we take it out of operation or until we retire it. Then once the sprint is complete, we will do a review of all the different issues or tickets that were resolved, things we completed, things that are now done. Then we will do a retrospective where this is a lesson learned from the sprint, and this is how we refine our process, get better at this process and focus on improving this process over time. Then we just rinse and repeat. We start over with the sprint planning. What can we do next? What function do we need? What products do we need? And so on. And this is a continuous process until the product has reached its maturity. Now this is Scrum. This is the approach to Scrum. There is a lot of other methodology out there. There's a Scrum, there's a Crystal, there is a Kanban, there is a Lean, there is a RUP or Rational Unified Process, there is an Agile Unified Process, there is a Dynamic System Development Method, there is a Feature Driven Development, there is also Extreme Programming. So there is a lot of different version out there of how to implement Agile. The one you are going to see the most in the field. Certainly in my experience, I have done a lot of Scrum, I have done Kanban, I have done CISSP, as well as another version. There's Lean and XP. Those are the one I see the most. So it's not to say that others are not out there, but these are the one I have experienced in my career. The one you need to know for the exam is Scrum. That's what most likely going to be there, but you need to be familiar with these other terms just in case there are answer choice that might throw you off in a question. Now this is all about development, but it's great. So how do we build security into the actual process? What's most important is we need to define those security controls upfront. So that way, as part of the development team is aware of the security controls that must be built into the system. We also need a solid configuration management process that's got to be integrated into the development process. That's going to be part of DevOps and DevSecOps, which we will talk about later. But we definitely want this built in. So we also want to perform regular security assessment and audits as well to make sure that we remain compliant throughout the entire Agile development process. So the bottom line for this video is to understand the purpose of Agile software development, know the 4 core values of Agile, very important, definitely understand the principle of Agile, the 12 principle, but you don't need to know them for the exam. Just understand the purpose of them and also know the importance of integrating security into Agile development process.